teary. I'm emotional because of the story.
Yeah.
Despite of you helping, what you get is like that. So
Yeah.
it's painful.
Yeah.
Konnichiwa, minasan.
Batam desu.
Katnimi desu.
Dark Knight Reactors Channelへようこそ.
Konkai wa
Tetsu Nakamura Moving Story. Doctor who dedicated his life in Afghanistan Humanitarian work.
Nihan no shimasu.
Thank you to our requester.
それでは早速始めましょう.
A great shock
He
spread
is
the
a
world
doctor.
when the news of Dr. Tetsu Nakamura broke out. He
Mm-hmm.
has been dedicating his time in Afghanistan for humanitarian work,
Wow.
but was assassinated by an unknown group of gunmen on the 4th
Why?
of December
Oh my
2019.
God.
For what
It can
reason?
be easily seen from all the pictures of him that he was a kind man,
Oh my God,
cared
what's
for,
wrong?
and tried to live like the local people in Afghanistan, was trusted and loved by the people there.
Yeah.
Let's have a look then why he was a hero to them.
Okay.
The very first time Dr. Nakamura visited the area was in 1978, where he joined a Hindu Kush expedition, as the expedition had been recruiting a doctor to go with them. Usually, you would imagine such a doctor to be a physician, but strictly speaking, Dr. Nakamura was a psychiatrist. So having been able to join the troop itself was in a way lucky, or would you say it was meant to be? Hindu Kush is a 1,200 kilometers long mountain range that stretches across mostly in Afghanistan. The northern parts go on into Pakistan, Tajikistan and China. He decided to join this expedition as he was interested in mountains, especially the butterflies that could be found there. Dr. Nakamura says that if he wasn't interested in insects, he wouldn't have gone to this expedition. And if he never knew the local postmaster in his hometown, where he was a young boy, there probably was no Afghanistan in his life, because he was the one who told him so much about insects.
Oh.
Some years later, after the expedition, he was asked to work in that Middle East area, which he gladly accepted, because he has come to like the place from the trip. His assignment that started from 1984 was initially in Pakistan, the adjacent country to Afghanistan, mainly to cooperate with the Control Project for Leprosy through Peshawar Kai, an international NGO organization in Japan that was set up to support Dr. Nakamura's activities, together with Peace Japan Medical Services, serving as a hub in Peshawar, Pakistan. However, soon the Afghan refugees from the war started to come to this clinic as well. Hearing that there were no doctors nor clinics available from where they came, the organization started to build clinics in Afghanistan too, and that's where it all began. Dr. Nakamura probably never realized he was staying in that country for more than 30 years from then on.
Wow. 30
The
years.
historic drought that hit Afghanistan that went on for at least a few decades. Many people suffered from hunger and thirst.
Oh.
Those brought to the clinics with diseases were mostly due to malnutrition and lack of clean water. It wasn't uncommon to see children being unable to resist drinking dirty water to quench their thirst. Things were really that bad. Children suffered most, with many dying. One irrigation canal will contribute more than 100 doctors. This idea of Dr. Nakamura prompted him to the making of canals into the desert. No such project had been a success in the past.
Just like in Taiwan, right? One of them
to the
also did that.
necessity of a large
Yes.
sum of money and manpower. However, Dr. Nakamura believed that this project was the quickest way to lessen the terrible situation. And
The
with
drought.
so many supporters
Yeah.
in Japan, the NGO organization of Peshawar Kai had plenty of funds to back up and help launch this project.
Wow.
Dr. Nakamura first worked on the wells. Many of them were dried up with a drought. The work was done mostly manually, and they sometimes had to dig even 90 meters deep to get the water.
Oh.
After 6 years, they managed to provide more than 1,600 wells. However, Dr. Nakamura was not satisfied with just this. Drinking water was secured, but people needed food as well. His next plan was to build canals into the desert.
Wow.
More than 80% of the population in Afghanistan were farmers. Dry land with no crops meant no food and work. So
So
A good
sad.
man. What a good man.
in the construction of the canals, and this number increased with their hope of reviving their farmland. People from the refugee camps started to join in too, traveling from afar with the same hope. The ex-Taliban combatants and ex-mercenary soldiers who were with the American army were also there. They left such armies and came to join to construct the canals, even when the payment was much less than before, which perhaps shows what they wish to see and where their true desire is. It was really hard work for these people, working in the canals, since they had to work in the hot sun, and the temperature could sometimes reach 50 degrees Celsius or over 120 Fahrenheit. However, more than 400 people worked hard every
My
day
goodness.
without any complaint. Partly because the fund from Peshawar Kai has also been able to provide daily wages to the workers, and that
Wow.
helped them get by, and probably because they decided to believe in Dr. Nakamura. Their endeavors bore fruit with the project, and look how all the bare land turned green. It was
Wow.
called the Death Valley.
Look at
It's now
that.
a field of green. People who knew that place would never believe it until they actually saw it with their own eyes. The work
Wow,
they did was
goosebumps.
done mostly manually. With Dr. Nakamura's prospective mind, this was so that maintenance and mending could be done by the local people themselves. Constructing using concrete was not impossible, but when the supporters are gone, the local people would be unable to maintain it by themselves, and it
Wow.
was too expensive as well. Things are very different in this country compared to developed countries, and not even the government will be able to help them either. So, when Dr. Nakamura came up with the traditional Japanese method using jackago to strengthen the canals, something like gabion, where they used wire nets and stones. Stones are used traditionally in Afghanistan, and it was abundant in the country, so this jackago was a perfect way for it. Responding to the earnest request of the people, what he did next was to set up a mosque together with a madrasa, a school next to it. A mosque for them is a central place for the community as well as being a place of worship, since disputes among them are resolved at times. Dr. Nakamura not only has saved their lives, but has brought light into their hearts as well. Dr. Nakamura himself was, in fact, a Christian, but he knew from their responses that building a mosque was a true joy that could even exceed that of building a canal. He was once asked by the Afghans why he was doing so much in the country of Islam when he was a Christian. He answered, "We're heading the same place. It's just that the route is different." He even prayed together with Islam. Dr. Nakamura didn't just think of satisfying the people for now, but looked ahead in the future as well. He probably knew that being self-reliant can lead to happiness in every way, and he also knew that supporters like him may not be with them forever. Having that vision, he decided to build a new village at the downstream of the canal. The canals will need maintenance every few decades. People who have attained the knowledge of the canals will live in that village with their family so that they can also serve as the caretakers of the canal. The place was originally a desert, and
Wow.
in Afghanistan, the first person who takes the undeveloped land is able to own the land. The faithful people who have followed Dr. Nakamura
Look
all
at
the way
that.
through the hardships were blessed to receive a reward of owning the new land. When he was asked by one of the leaders of Peshawar Khai whether he was thinking about those who will take over his work in the future, Dr. Nakamura simply answered, "The canals will take over my work."
Wow.
Even so, he knew well. Dr. Nakamura went another step ahead. He wanted to spread these canals, if possible, across the nation to irrigate the barren land. However, he knew his life was limited and he couldn't do everything. He decided to set up a training school to cultivate human resources for this project to continue on, and personally created the textbook for this. The
Wow.
training school has already opened up, and lessons started in January 2018, about a year before he was gone. Although Dr. Nakamura is there no more, he has prepared everything before he went. He has left trained people to be the future leaders and records that tell all that should be known. There had been, of course, many hardships and unexpected incidents that couldn't be mentioned here, but the wonderful successes can be clearly seen as part of the long-time desert is now covered in green, the canal nourishing 16,500 hectares of the land, which is about half of Fukuoka City, Dr. Nakamura's hometown. The smiles of all the little children and the people testify, above all, the happiness that has been brought back to the people there. Dr. Nakamura was also affectionately known as Kaka Murad, meaning Uncle Murad, by the people in Afghanistan. He was born in Fukuoka City, Fukuoka Prefecture, which is located in Kyushu, the southern part of Japan. His uncle is Ashihei Hino, a writer who has won the renowned Akutagawa Prize in Japan. Dr. Nakamura's motto was, "Go where nobody wants to go, do what nobody wants to do." Even though the local staffs felt concerned when Dr. Nakamura suggested the Green Ground project at the beginning, feeling it was rather a wild scheme, Dr. Nakamura was firm, believing it will lead to saving hundreds of lives. Dr. Nakamura was a doctor, but he was not ashamed to take off his white clothes. He would operate a crane or carry the stones, hoping that everyone will follow. Because he knew that although it may take a very long time, it was the extension of his medical activity to save people's lives and lessen diseases. He had no knowledge of civil engineering, but acquired them by reading specialized books and visiting similar canals in Japan that might help provide ideas. Of course, he couldn't understand the context in the books well, so he had to start from restudying differentials and integrals by borrowing his daughter's math textbooks. It was lucky, or perhaps it was the wisdom of God, that Dr. Nakamura was born in Fukuoka, because that was the very place where Dr. Nakamura found a canal built more than 200 years ago and yet still in good condition, with extremely similar situations
That city.
to those that were to be built in Afghanistan. So
Wow.
that you can take that as a model and solve the problems. Although they had to retreat temporarily to
so
Pakistan when the
amazing.
war got fierce in Afghanistan and made all the younger staff return to Japan after one of them got killed in 2008, he decided to remain alone and carry on with the work. He has been returning to Japan now and then giving speeches to the public and reports to the supporters of Peshawar Khai about Afghanistan and his work, and also checking and looking up various information that he could bring back to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
He did have his own family with 5 children back in Japan,
Oh.
and of course wanted to be with them, but there were serious matters that stopped him from leaving Afghanistan. Dr. Nakamura was able to help the Afghans for more than 3 decades,
3
not
decades,
only
30
because of the
years.
supporters of Peshawar Khan, but also because his wife and children understood and supported him. He probably always had the Afghan people in his mind, even when he was in Japan. His grandmother Man's teaching of take the lead to protect
Protect the weak.
respect even the
Smallest life.
was at the base. He certainly was a hard worker, never giving up, which he seems to have inherited from his grandparents. Dr. Nakamura had told one of the reliable local staff a year ago that he wanted to be buried in the place he loved most, in the now beautiful green part of the Gambari Desert, and according to his will, part of his remains has been taken back to Afghanistan. Just like he could never forget about the Afghan people, the people in Afghanistan will for sure never forget about him, passing on his story from generation to generation.
Wow.
Baby Nakamura.
Dr. Nakamura has once said to the local staff, "I don't mind if I were to die if it was for the Afghans and the canal." Sadly, his words have been fulfilled in a tragic manner, but there are also the following words in the Bible, which Dr. Nakamura, being a Christian, probably read repeatedly. "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." John chapter 15, verse 13. I'm sure God has accepted Dr. Nakamura as the
Yes.
true disciple of Christ, and he has no doubt been welcomed into heaven.
Alright, so this is a very beautiful
Story.
story, guys, of a Japanese man who dedicated himself to help the country of Afghanistan. And I'm just so sad that he got killed. I'm just thinking that how can you kill
Good man.
a good man, a beautiful person like this? I am wondering what is the reason of the killer to do this to this amazing and very helpful person. That's
Yeah.
really sad.
There's a question too, yes. Why? Why? Why such a good man is being killed by, the country that he loves and served
Yeah.
almost of half of his life, something like that. And all I can say is that he was born as a good man and he died as a good man.
Yes.
And now he is in heaven. That's for sure.
Basing on the knowledge we've knew about the video, guys, he's an awesome man. He's a hero of the
He's
country.
a hero.
You know, going to a certain country to help and then leaving your country is a sacrifice. So we also have a friend who's in the Philippines right now, and his purpose is to teach for free.
Yeah.
So I'm just so amazed that Japanese people are dedicated or are giving themselves to help other people, not even their blood like that. It only means that they have a pure heart to help. I admire that so much.
That's really pure. He is not expecting of something in return. He gave everything, and it's like he is not greedy. He is very generous to people, but some are ungrateful. Why? Why some people are very ungrateful? He gave you everything. He is not expecting you to return those things. Just to respect and love him is enough, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Respect and love him.
I am teary. I'm emotional because of the story.
Yeah.
Despite of you helping, what you get is like that. So
Yeah.
it's painful.
Yeah. We also experienced that. Right?
Okay. Well, anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching our reaction video today. See you on our next vlog.